you guys, it's MJ from Auto Love. How are you? I hope that you're having a great day. It's November 28th. So I'm here. I'm just hearing time is an illusion. You don't need to worry about the date and the time. Except maybe you do, because that's your life. I'm MJ anyway. I'm the founder of Auto Love. That's my book, The Fearless Life Guide and Auto Love Project. It's been intuitively guided as I've lived my entire adult life, ultimately. And at this stage, with all these collective changes happening, it would appear that our intuition and those of us that have maybe been living on the fringes of mainstream culture have some insights and perspective that can be useful to people in these times. Hence, Auto Love. So today I want to talk about information that I share in the book, and it's relevant to our emotions because increasingly people are aware of their emotions and they're aware of what up, Lona, and they're aware of this, this repetitive energy, and then people are talking about law of attraction and you create your own reality, and then there's like, well, but what do I do with all these emotions? I'm like, well, you gotta process them, my lovers. So in the book, I refer to the karmic backlog, which it's sort of at least a threefold awareness in me of how what I call the emotional storm alchemizes and thus transforms what I call density. It's lower vibrations, shitty emotions, shitty karma, icky feelings, sticky icky feelings, basically, versus we all want the love, light, and bliss, but how do we effectively get into those higher emotions? Well, in my awareness, again, you have to still face down and shine light and be aware of the fact that you're carrying densities. So the point being, denying your emotions doesn't do nothing good for nobody. Hey Daniel son, how are you, my friend? So so the idea in me is that we have generational genetics, okay? So we carry, and this is science, this is all sciencey, you guys. It's scientifically proven, eh? So in our bodies, we have genes that are connected to certain base tones of our DNA structure as a humanity. Oh, good. Well-ish. I hear you. I mean, like, we're just still writing these energies out, so continuous, right, backlog. So it's like anywhere from maybe 7 generations, maybe even 14. It could be, we're all different souls and we have different, I guess, densities that we're committed ourselves to transform in a lifetime. And so we might carry 7, 14. The point being with that is that it's been proven. So it's proven in the here now that, say, me, for example, could be carrying the genetic codes of my ancestors. That's just legit proof. So a lot of our reactive patterns, i.e. the patterns that are perpetuated via the fear trigger point, so the fight, flight, the reptilian mode, the base tone of our humanity, that gets triggered in us. And ultimately a trigger, I talk about the emotional gate being a trigger, a wave, and a storm. If you can have the presence awareness and or have been practicing things like meditation or what have you, or naturally empathic, because empaths tend to do this quite naturally, you get triggered and then you pull back, you own the trigger. And then often what happens is that like a storm brews, so you start to feel these waves of emotion come up. What you'll notice is that there's certain thought patterns. The thought patterns are usually likened to simply what I call blame and attack. So your thought patterns are actually projecting your feelings onto something external rather than just holding space for your body to clear out the backlog. So often in a storm, you might experience memories, past life memories, thought forms that you can see quite clearly are negative or projecting shit onto other people. The point being, in an emotional storm, your body can alchemize and process effectively shitty trauma, basically trauma that your genes are carrying, that you have, like having a totally, which is societal, but it can be ancestral as well. Like you have a totally irrational, for example, something really common would be like women having this jealousy factor, or having this almost crazy, out of context, blown apart reaction to some guy, her partner talking to a woman. But ultimately, part of that what appears to be an overblown reaction is ancestral, because for women there was a time, a historical context, right? So this would be in the imprint of their beingness, a historical context of, women's survival on the planet was intertwined with their ability to have a man or find a man or be married. So if a woman wasn't able to get married, or wasn't whatever, didn't have these things, she could end up on the street. She could end up being cast aside basically by the culture, powerless, used as a whore, used as a whatever. And so when you connect certain dots and expand our awareness beyond just the separation consciousness, like da da da, why are you feeling like that, and you extend it to our historical imprinting as a species, acknowledging that in our science we prove it now that we do carry the genes of our ancestors up to 14 generations past. That's like hundreds of years of genetic coding and imprinting that essentially dictates, i.e. our unconscious, dictates our reactivity. Why am I reacting? Why am I acting out? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And in my personal life and in the lives of my clients, the expression and or the healing is to own, I use the language, own and transform your density. And as an empath, a light worker, like divinity worker, to be honest, I got to the point where I'm like, I don't even care if it's theirs or mine or whatever, I'm the one feeling it. If I'm the one feeling it, I've got to process it. The point being, because I own and transform all of my emotions, I move through life pretty quickly. I don't stay attached to people. If things start to suckle at me, or if I'm suddenly in a pattern with somebody, I can look at it, see what's going on, and walk away. I don't need to get intertwined or re-entangle my own personal energy into the karma of the past. I don't feel bound to my family. I don't feel bound to people that I meet in this world. I have usually an outworking. There's evidence or healing aspects, integration aspects, positive healing that takes place with that person. What up, Julie? Word. And then I can move through. In my awareness, again, the freedom piece here is that truly this book is like a gateway to people's freedom. When you own and transform your emotions, and you get the whole thing that you're totally responsible and you're only really responsible for yourself, no longer you can feel that it doesn't serve us to stay in certain patterns anymore. And yet we're not here to be hard on ourselves. What up, Timothy Riley? For some reason, this name Josh Riley keeps popping into my awareness. No idea. I'm not even like on Facebook or Insta anymore. I'm like, did it come up in some program I watched? Maybe. I'm getting a vision of a funeral. Anywho, I drew leopard leggings on you. Oh, hello. I love this message on American Thanksgiving. What up, Julie? Oh, good. Well, and thanks. It just came through. Like my new green sweater as well. I'm almost certain it's from a program I watched, FYI, the Josh Riley thing. So yeah, holding space for our emotions, being able to, and then what I notice is that doing this as a way of life. So I own and transform my own emotion. That means other people got to do the same. And if they refuse and instead try to manipulate me, I'm like, no, you're lying. And oftentimes, this is the crazy thing about increased awareness, is that what you become aware of is that people aren't even aware of their emotions. Like people are, and it's probably, I wouldn't want to split us up as a gender. But I would say like it's maybe easier. Women are typically, but this is a wide sweeping generalization. Women can be just as passive aggressive, but like, and that's again, our passive aggressive tendencies have to do with trauma usually. What up, Jessica? Hey, thanks, Chica. I got your message and I'm definitely going to check it out as far as like, but yeah, and I don't like generalizations because it's not a truth. And like, there are plenty of men who are very, very aware of their emotions. but often, again, as a generalization, that can be the way. And then we can all do it. It's like, I'm sure that I've acted out with narcissistic tendencies or passive aggressive tendencies in moments of less awareness when I'm just trying to get through the effing day. Because all of this, I forget, you guys. I forget because I'm in my own little bubble of light, of love, heart, vibrashe. You know, people feeling our feelings and being able to be honest. People still refuse. And they're like, well, it's fine here with you, MJ, but when I go back to my life, or when I go back to my job, or when I come back, I can't just nip off after a meeting and have a good cry, or I can't, and then it just reminds me, I'm like, yeah, and that is the ish, that is the systematic oppressive ish that we're all having to face. And I swear to effing love, if we can't stand up for ourselves, if we can't stand in our truth, we're in for some repeating of the karma. That's what I gotta say to that. I'm like, I feel this pressure mounting as far as we are in these times of acceleration motion. We are in this awakening phase, and we is time to stand. I mean, like, our emotions are important, and if we continue to deny that, then our emotions are the thing. Covert narcissism. Did I just see that? Covert narcissism is the most hardcore. That is a big part of the last, maybe not the last, but one of the last layers, I think, for a lot of us was dealing with the coverts. Because our own innocence and naivety is just like, what? You're lying? You just completely made up a whole story to try to get me to do that? And now you're all lying about it and talking about me? You're like, why would somebody do that? And then all of the pain and the fucking, and you're just like, why is that the way things are? And then this face goes, right? Mind blown. Mind blown. You're like, what? But then that's a reflection back to us of like, oh, that's the severity of the program. That's the corruption. That's how far gone. That's how far gone people are when it comes to being connected to their heart. You know what I'm saying? They're still in like another level of protecting the protective mechanism. They're in a completely different atmosphere of vibrational reality. They're like, no, you're my slave girl. You need to either do my bidding or fuck right off. And I'm going to tell everybody about how shit you are. And you're like, huh? But I was only trying to help. Yeah. And then a whole bunch of us empaths are on YouTube going, what the fuck is this? And then we find covert narcissism. And you're like, oh my God, that is next level. That is next level psychological disorder. And I'm like, I don't like to label people. I just look at it of how like everyone just has like a bandwidth. And it's literally about how connected to one's heart one is versus not at all. And depending on how disconnected from heart one is, that's how much invested they are in the illusions of life, i.e. egoic attachment. Thus, their ego justifies really fucking shit behavior because their priority is keeping the illusion alive. Because they actually believe that their survival is based on it. So it's like, no judgment. That's the practice, you guys. Like, even though you're a total dickhead to me, I'm still gonna find a way to love you. And you do. You find ways of just like forgiving and loving and moving on with your life and being like, guess what? I'm just gonna be happy. I didn't know there were like brands for narcissism. No, too. God, yeah. The coverts are the most intense because everybody loves them. And this is like, here's a PB&J, peanut butter, jelly. My name is Elliot. I'm actually not a crucifix for slave. I know. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? I'm just seeing a vision of you like taking the ropes off and like coming down off of the cross and being like, no, actually, fuck you guys. Love you. You're all forgiven in the name of the Lord. But no, You're not gonna pull the wool over again, you know? Exactly, dude. This is the thing about the covert. It's like everybody, this is where I'm like, the spiritual community is filled with it. Although I'm like, that's my own baggage. Either it's all everywhere. We're deeply wounded, awakening to our woundedness, and the covert operation is people just being like, no, I'm totally squeaky clean. I just like getting people together and having a nice time. But then when somebody comes along that could potentially disrupt that in their awareness, they're like, and then it's like, because then it becomes like this weird, like I've had people tell me that people are saying stuff and that people don't join in. And it might seem kind of like they're talking nice, but they're not. They're talking smack. But because they're so nice, they have to word it in a way, but it's the energies. That's what empathy. Empathy is growing among us as a human species. So I'm like, the empathy piece is ultimately growing beyond, hence more people becoming aware of the shitty behavior. And like, people don't know why they're saying the things they're saying or doing the things they're doing. Backhanded compliments. That's when they're like, God, you look so pretty. Or like, blah. But that's part of the reason with the empath community why, or you could say intuitive introvert, why we can't do the small talk. Like, we're increasingly, you know, going into those sort of like dominant group consciousness environments becomes like, and like, because people are a stew of energy. People's vortexual energies are just like either chaotic or coverts. They're hiding stuff, and it's wild. I mean, it's kind of awesome and wild, but there again, the safety of our for me right now, safety and or the trust that I'm building within myself via my online community, because we're all dotted around the world. Oh, Timothy, total. Well, this is all, I would say, part of that overarching program. Let's further disconnect people. What was there was something that came up around like families, teachers, and like accepting quite shitty behavior from students, and it's like, and then it rebounded back to me this thought of like, well, yeah, it's like bringing the standard for our humanity lower and lower, but at the same time making everything really highly pressurized. If that makes sense. So like in England, for example, I'm now aware that like there seems to be this lowering of the standard, but everyone's pressurized and stressed out, and the teachers are stressed, and there's more of this weird kind of policing. It's not called policing, that's just the way I see it, because it seems like teachers are like, we need to film you doing this lesson, we need to see you doing this, and teachers aren't even given the space to just teach and do what they're good at and do what they're passionate about. They're like constantly having to prove themselves to these higher orders, which the higher orders don't seem to really care too much about the children, but they all talk like, yeah, it's about the children. But I'm like, then why isn't it about then why are the children seeming to go breaking point kind of thing, the information push? That's interesting what you just said, the information push. That's something I feel maybe about being guided off social. It's like everything is just this noise and this louder and louder, loud noise of just like, go get more, it's more. We're like, and I'm like, but where's the love and where's the clarity? And the immersion, I think, is yes. This is it, Julie. This is why I couldn't just, I mean, you guys help and people in the community help this now, and just my own intuitive awareness, but like it just hit me up, and I was like, none of this isn't it, essentially. It's like online entrepreneur, like promoting and putting it all on Facebook, Instagram, I'm like, it's more, it's not, it's another fucking conveyor belt, just like the 9 to 5, just like the illusion of freedom. It's another conveyor belt, it's another illusion. I'm like, wait, get off, step off, stop. You know, where is the true love? Where is and like, again, I've said this in a couple shares recently where I'm like, this is the community. I can feel it. And like, why would I deny my feels at this point? I'm like, I can feel it. The Facebook, Instagram stuff are all just spinning wheels, you know? And I can't speak for other people because I'm not other people. I can only speak for my own heart and my own mish and like my own connections that I've made via just sharing from the heart field right here without any manipulation, or certainly very, very, very little, without any manipulation, without any, tactics to get more, to have more, or any of that. Which is a clear space to reflect and share and noodle, because this is another part of the overarching domination stuff going on within our school systems. There's like a dumbing down effect. It's purpose though. It's like a purposeful, like pressurize. So pressurize everybody to achieve, but don't create positive learning environments. So, and then put pressure on the educators. I'm like, it's a very disempowered program, right? Because, and here's where I'm like, this is an open channel just of noodling. Somebody's whose mind has consciously been extracted from the mainstream. Yeah, that is all a big part of it. That's a part of the adding the pressure, right? Nobody, I mean, increasingly, and it's not just in the United States, but I would say the United States is sort of leading the way as far as like people are working full-time jobs, multiple full-time jobs, and they don't have enough to eat and pay rent. That's an issue in our so-called free world, or so-called third developed modern Western civilizations. I'm like, and we go to these different countries as potentially doing charitable work, when I'm like, but there's enough homelessness in our own countries to look at our own issues ultimately. I mean, come on, right? So I was thinking of something about the education. Biggest escape drug is opium being pushed by him. Well, we know, right? It's that same aspect. You take their power back, play the game when you're being monitored, then do what's best for the kids. Do what's best for the kids for sure. And there are, I mean, I certainly am only aligned with, I would say, the best of the best, real practitioners that are passionate about teaching. And it just so happens that some of the community of people that I'm meeting here in Bristol, there is a large dominant, there's, lawyers and teachers and people very much in that. And they refer back, and I just sort of listen and observe, and I'm like, so here's the point of like dropping off the bass tones. And it's not, again, we can't control, and it's not about creating victims, even as much as it's feeling some kind of sympathy for victims. But what I'm like aware of is how this increased pressure with unconducive learning environments and pardon me, keeping people in the fear, is that we're not teaching one another how to think outside the box, which is the biggest overarching corruption of everything. Control people's minds, and the more radical I am, as in the less I'm entangled on a mental, the less I'm entangled in a mental sense to any kind of group consciousness, any kind of mass media, any kind of that, the more aware of, again, the multi-layered programming that of the illusion that we all bought into. And that's, again, about owning and transforming, is that we do have to do our own karmic work, right? And there's the piece, Jessica, there's the piece, just take care of yourself. And that is not, I almost can feel the program, or the old gaslighting program of how selfish. You can't just look after yourself. And I'm like, you can though. And you will naturally look after other, because you're a nice person. But really, priority number one, because I'm seeing people, because I can see how radical that is and how that really is the thing. And yet we make excuses for our own self-care. We make excuses for our own ability to take the time out to take the action steps that we absolutely need. Why? Because most of us are invested in codependent and or low-level entangled patterns with other. And that's cool. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not saying any of this with like the rightness or the wrongness or the judgment. It just is, you know, we all have that as we ebb and flow through life. That's boom shakalaka, Timothy Riley. Love thyself, or you can't love no other until you do, basically. And I gotta say, that is another quite fascinating biofeedback to me. It's like the more I've amplified the love heart vibrashe, I'm like, you become less like available for people's shit. Like the shit, it won't even touch you. And then ultimately, when there is a bump up against, you can usually discern. You're like, oh, that's where, you know, we're not able to meet on a love level, because you don't love yourself like that, and I do. So I'm just gonna step back and shine a bit more light and let you love yourself even more. It's huge. It's monumental to love oneself in this collective, in this, under this veil and under this program. That's why it's such a bizarre world. I'm like, who knew? Who knew that this life would become about us mastering self-love so we can love ourselves and love one another and love the planet back to well-being? I'm like, except it's already done, like we already know it, so we're really just riding these cosmic waves of hot love vibration. And then every once in a while getting a little bit like sucked into other people's vortexes along the river raft. Like other people's drama vortexes of less than love. Like, no, it's not that simple. There must be a whirlpool over here of distortion and covert narcissism. Oh man. We do have the love. It's all right there. But boy, oh boy, this year has just been a bit like, are you fucking kidding me? After the last few years. Or we get to meet people like you. What? I'm like, somebody recently was like, are you even real? I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point. I really, as in like, this is pretty much me. When you meet me in real life, it's the same. I was actually thinking about something until my ego took hold of that lovely comment. I was like, yeah. What am I actually talking about in this share? I would quit in 2016 if I'm at 2019 by the... There, Julie. She's just brought me back. It's so true. After this year... But I'm like, you're so right. If I had known back in 2016, when I first was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a massive leap. And like, sure. And then like I took a leap and like was riding on my own egoic construct for quite a while. And then just kept having these like, and like the oops, I just bumped my head, and like crashing out and crashing and burning and like losing everything, and then having these covert narcissists being revealed to me, and like abuse patterns and like crazy ass shit, financial collapse, all of this continuous like pull. For sure, I'm totally with you. In fact, even in these last couple of months, probably more in the last couple of weeks, but like just the deep dive in the last couple of months, I've had little moments of like, what did I do? Like, my life was perfectly fine before, you know? Like, I was a lovely little yoga teacher and a little zen, and I'm like, why didn't I just keep my fucking mouth shut? You know, why did I have to publish a book? Why did I have to like go off and be an online entrepreneur, you know, and be the change online courses, which by the way, I'm super legit like proud of, but every once in a while I'm like, God, it triggers a lot of resistance. People are like, no, fuck you. I don't want to be the change. And you're like, okay. Or mention veganism to somebody like a couple weeks ago, and they're like, oh yeah, like all that. It's like they wanted to have nothing to do with me after I mentioned being vegan. I'm like, oh, radical, pioneer of love. I'm like, compassion, love, having a clear mind. I mean, it's a win-win. I say this quite a lot in the Unplugged for Freedom course. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win. And they're like, well, can't just stop watching the news. And I'm like, well, that's why you need to get the course, because the course will teach you. Why? Yes, you do. Thanks, Julie. Oh, thank you. It's because I'm seeing myself as well as your damn hippies. God, and people say that to me as well. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm saying like, damn psychopaths destroying the world. I'm like, you should be kissing my feet. Oh God. You should be kissing my feet. All of us hippies in the world. You should all be kissing our feet because we fucking kept going and we kept believing in the heart of humanity to not destroy itself by corporate greed. And now the good fight is definitely winning, but boy, oh boy, it's still gonna, you know, I was just thinking be some, dude, no. Now I'm seeing all of us in like a circle putting our feet out, like, kiss our feet. Oh, gee whiz. I learned things I love. Oh, weird. I just watched the Thanksgiving. I just watched Adrienne Elise's update about that and like how it would be worthy watch. It's definitely relevant to this community. Her most recent update, and it's basically like Thanksgiving and giving thanks and how much our soul tribe and communities are mega like just the juice of life and super important for us. So everyone here that I've met on the YouTube channel, I feel such a tribal loving connection with, absolutely. Hence, like, my favorite time of day is when I wake up in the middle of the night and come down, sneak downstairs, try to be quiet because my roommate is sleeping. And then, yeah, meet up with the fam, with the damn fam, with the, I wouldn't say damned, but, you know, with the fam. And then talk about this stuff, like, which I swear to God, those of you who just intuitively got guided to the book totally resonate with it. Some of you get about like 20 pages in and start bawling your eyes out. Some people get to the unplugged section and don't read further, or the forgiveness and judgment section and don't go further. And or people are reading it like a second time and a third time and getting different insights and little nuggets of freedom, which is good. But what I gotta say is, like, before I even knew it on a conscious level, this is just like, I guess, like spiritual ascension or guide to unification, wholeness. But it is really relentless. It is on an emotional level, super duper intense. But what I can affirm, so this is like for people regardless of actually having the copy of a book, is that a lot of you, oh yay, Jessica, you know it already. Just like my own path, like a lot of the spiritual text that I read over the years, it was a reflection, if that makes sense to you guys. It's like, you know it already on a soul level. That's why I permission all y'all to, like, yeah, ebb and flow, watch when you want to watch, don't watch when you don't want to watch, you know, because I know it. Yeah, it was like when I read Eckhart, The Power of Now, it was like, yeah, like I get this shit, yo. I just didn't think it would be weird that, like, a modern, you know, white woman going on a, you know, living intuitively would be such a radical thing. I mean, I don't think it, this is why I'm like, it's weird, is people are like, you're so spiritual, you're such a hippie. I'm like, I'm just human. Stop calling me names that I know might seem fine, but you're saying it in a diminutive. You're putting me down. You're patronizing me. You're brushing me off with a fucking label that makes you feel like it's okay to do that. It's when it's not a very kind thing to do. You're just a hippie. Oh, you're just a spiritual person. I'm like, well, what does that say about you? I've never said that to someone, but for real. Like, what does that say about the people who are like, you're a hippie? Well, yeah, and you're an ignorant dickhead who doesn't want to fucking own any of their bullshit. Welcome, pure energy. So a friend of mine and I were putting a little proposal together, and near the end we have a little blurb about like MJ, yoga teacher extraordinaire, and then her career and everything like that. And then the final paragraph of like both of us coming together to do this thing. We're like, with our skills combined. Every time I say it, I had to say it like that. With our skills combined. I'm like, and I just couldn't help but think of like the Power Rangers. I'm like, we're like the Power Rangers, and or the Power Rangers, and or Care Bears, you know? I can't wait to cry the last time for happiness when it's all done. Oh. I can feel the relief of that expression. Or the Avengers, sure. And then what was the last one? Like Infinity Wars. That was Avengers as well, right? Yeah, let's be Avengers. Let's be all of it. Let's just be all Ascenders! Yes. Do you guys like my new sweater? My new green sweater? It's not, it's way more green than I imagined. I thought it was going to be more of like a teal, but it's very, very green. But I'm like, this will become my like Christmas sweater, and I'll try not to get rid of it. I'm trying to do this new thing where I actually let myself have stuff. I know, it sounds so weird. Festive. Thank you, festive. And it's crop, like it's quite cool. You know. Da 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 da. So there. That's me in my sweater. I shop from eBay, so yes, she really smells delightful. Not for long. Oh my god. So, do you want me to pull a card, you guys? My lovers. And also, definitely, MJ's hair needs a bit of a touch up, but I'm just gonna leave it for now. So any of you guys are like massive sales heroes? Like, with their skills combined. Oh, and then one of you have already sent me something that is quite helpful. Magicians, I'm here. So we're definitely arising into the power of love heart vibrashe. Whee! Carolee, that's really nice. I found a gray hair today. Jessica, girl, join the club. Except you could, let's see how much we can do with mind over matter around. You don't have gray hair. It's just like tinted gray. I mean, tinted brown. Although, I'd be curious of your age category, because my first few gray/white hairs were found pretty much within like a week or two of me deciding that I'm just gonna let my hair go natural. I'm just gonna not dye my hair anymore. And that was shortly after India. And then I chopped my hair off because that's usually what I do when I'm having a breakdown. And then, yeah, I remember it was actually like growing out. It was much shorter by then. And I don't have a gray hair yet. See, we don't have to, it's like imprinted in our genes. We can totally transform that stuff. So we'll do our best, Avi. Gray hair can be very hot, definitely. Anything can be, as far as everything that we're propagated to buy into isn't real at all, right? It's like, the breakdown's too good, yeah, continuous. But so yeah, like literally within a few weeks of me like, I'm just gonna let my hair be natural. And then I'm like, fuck. And especially because I started dyeing my hair when I was like 10 years old, so pretty much my whole adult life. And then by the time I'm like my late 20s, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna let it all be natural again, which is like, pardon me, this color. And then I remember I was at a gig, probably some kind of drama at a school gig, and I found it. I saw the gray hair and I was like, yeah, it's just the light coming out, booyakasha. Yeah, I'm doing my utmost to really embody like eternal youth in as far as like y'all get better and better, y'all get healthier and healthier, y'all get more and more radiant. Hey, whatever, Revel, how are you, my friend? Happy house to you. And now I, but there's quite a lot of like white up in here, but I love it. And I will continue. Oh, MJ, what have you done? What have you done, you guys? I'm talking about my hair now. It's very spiritual. And I'm sweating, so. Jesus. Oh, my lovers. King of Cups, Queen of Cups in the reverse. So this reads to me like some of us are this is why I find the tarot quite challenging, because sometimes challenging stuff comes up and I can feel it. But like I'm reading or feeling that this is like facing the dissolution of a relationship that probably once felt like or once exhibited like power couple status. There's a lot of emotional joy here, a lot of emotional happiness. and abundance in fulfillment and in creativity. Triggers are our teachers. Hells to the yazao. I know, and this is also again about reclaiming our emotionality as beings without fear, because often so much gets lost. Like, this is where Eckhart's teachings definitely align as well, is that the trigger is triggering a pain body wound normally. I mean, most people in my awareness, certainly, we're walking around in our pain bodies. Stress is pain body, stress, fear. And then people's mental aspects are then entangled in falsities. So they're having emotional triggers, but they don't know how to outwork it in in the mind. We're not, because we don't hold space deep enough for true healing. Oh, but we're learning, and this is also part of all of us randomly in the different parts of the world going, right, that's where the healing is. Chase the trigger inward and listen to it. Precisely. And I'm aware now there are different elements to this. This is part of untangling abuse as well, is that yeah, and it is. Because we're not in a quick fix culture anymore. Those of us here, we're in a true healing. It's gonna take it's divine. It's taking as long as it's taking. You know, we're not in not control over it. The healing. What did you say? Chase your and listen to it. That's right. And this is where I could start to, having been doing this work very consciously, really since probably 2012. Having been aware of mind over matter, and less to do with this sort of the deep dive into the emotional healing and field from within self, with support, but mainly on my own, and then doing it very, very consciously, I could start to see the waves and hold space and then recognize the layers. So in any storm, you can burn through multiple lifetimes, multiple layers. You can highlight, working with healers, you can start to highlight different timelines that are kind of spinning, and then you can connect them back to your reality, and then ultimately own the karma of it, which is never comfortable and often deeply, deeply painful. But again, it's worth the reward, especially when we can understand on an intellectual level that burning through and allowing ourselves to sit with and transform these triggers helps to raise our vibration. It's only when we burn through those emotional densities, i.e. energetic codes and densities, that we can open our, i.e. like the calm after the storm or the clarity after the storm, that we can actually, so we go through a storm and then we open up our gate to higher vibrational thought form. That's essentially how we rise ourselves up. We can't have access to those higher thought forms if we're still carrying those densities. We can't move up if we're still carrying those densities. Unconsciously or consciously, it doesn't really matter. That's why people talk about spiritual bypassing. My learning is slow. Really enjoy that. It's so true. It's so true, right? Because slow is meaning to me that we're actually living much more in the present. There is the sense of Neo from the Matrix vibes of everything might seem slow, but we're still moving really fast in the awareness of humanity, because it's permeating the field. It's something that's happening. Again, it's quantum learning to translation. That's it. It's the quantum. This is happening beyond the veil to us as much as we are part of it through our own choosing. But again, that's a piece, being a conscious chooser, having consciously chosen, even that is a huge hurdle to get to in one's life. As in, the dominant masses are still no, I didn't choose my parents, fuck you, bitch. And you're okay, sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't know what I'm talking about. Hence, the finding the tribe vibrashe, and then basically leaving people to their own devices, and not controlling and manipulating anything, just letting people, want to do the work or not, basically. Yeah. And I think we all have different, I think it's the time is now. I think we all have different kind of wake up points, but I really feel like this timeline is, I'm certain of it. I'm in my beingness. I can remember 3 years ago when I basically made manifest a prophetic dream from 15 years prior. And then I got to that point. Plus, I was like 33. I'm pretty sure I was in my 33 year, which is usually a significant number for people. And I knew at that point that I'd never made it this far. Like in my aliveness, in my incarnations past on this earth, in these historical timelines. Like I knew that I was like, oh my God, I got taken out every time before. Drowned, burned, tortured, beheaded. Like every lifetime prior, I never survived past, no matter how fast I was riding my horse, they got me. So yeah, I'm suddenly being like, I'm so fucking loud sometimes, and then like she says she never hears me, so it's fine. Whereas I'm like, these last 3, maybe that's why it's been so effing intense, right? We've been able to clear and move through energies like never before with an awareness. Or we're like, oh my God, we're still in our bodies. We're still alive. Holy shizbaz. We're still here, you guys. And then I'm like, are you still there? We're still alive, you guys. And like information. And this is what I kind of think about making manifest. I'm like, information. I'm still alive. We're still here sharing information. I think that is the miracle in and of itself. Like everything else, the fact that we're still alive, and I'm like, everything else is history. You know, we get to create it. Okay, let me loop back to these cards, my lovers. So, for some of us, I just feel like this. It's a very supported in love. This interpretation that I'm receiving from the King and Queen of Cups in the reverse. There's a very loving energy here. I just feel like with the Creator and the Hermit, there's 2 energies that do desire different aspects of life. And so this union is, I want to be loving and sensitive, but it's going down the drain. It's not being up-leveled. It's not going to a higher place. One becomes a magician, one the hermit, or vice versa, or both embody both. But this, there's a sense of up-leveling for the individual rather than the union, rather than the couple. But at the same time, there's a lot of divinity here because it's magician and hermit. It's a major arcana reading. So the magician ultimately, and the Ace of Pentacles. So there's a new beginning, a visceral new beginning, a tangible new beginning in resources and or in money. And the Hermit is like just a bit of time to go within to find the light. And the Magician is empowered and embodying the fullness of their creatorship. So basically, whoever this resonates with, knowing that you've got all of the elements and all of the tools at your disposal to create everything that you want. It might require going within, but the new beginning is definitely here. This power couple dissolution, it's still held in love, it's held in grace. There's still a lot of support here. The Magical Hermit describes me pretty good. Same. So does the Magician, though. So, you guys, I love you so much. It's always so much fun hanging out with all y'all lovers. I really appreciate it. So yeah, feel free to hang out more if you want to. You can book private intuitive readings. You can book coaching sessions. You can book the book. Buy the book, my lovers. Mwah. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for doing you and for showing up, star. Hey, it's so nice to have you. It's been a few months, hasn't it? Yeah, buy the book, buy merch. Merch. Or don't doodle on it. You doodle on it. Doodle on it if you want. Somebody posted something, and then they shared. I'd obviously written like I signed it for this person, but it was not this person. So I'm like, oh my god, the book's doing the rounds now. Twin immersion, love it. Oh, what up? Love you, Lorna, Jess. You guys are legendary lovers of life. I have mega love and appreciation for you because you're here. If you weren't here, I wouldn't know you're here. Hey, Melissa, what? So there's a little reading for you. Buy the book, buy sessions, have a look at the online courses as well. And I'm preaching to the choir already. You guys are already on it. But I'm navigating with the online courses as well a lot of different things. So I will continue to share them with you. Basically, there's a security thing. And so it might just be that we have to buy subscription, but I think it works. I actually think it works. So Wix is like saving my life, but it might have to be like buying a subscription to the courses and then actually practically sitting the course for like 8 weeks or what have you, and blah 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 blah, or buying individual videos, which I gotta say I think they're pretty effing good. But you guys are already woke, so you my lovers are more like the expanding and getting the messages out there so that other people who are still just waking up can be like, what the F? And you'd be like, go to Ultra Love. Her online courses work pretty good for helping you get clear, breaking free. Because the unplugged piece, I swear to God, is massive. Is massive to getting clear and actually thinking independently from the system, right? The woke are your people. What? Hi, Elliot. Can we get an ego badge? I don't know. What, if you finish the courses? No. No, your ego badge will disintegrate. Is even whenever, I mean, that's my experience anyway, Timothy. Even if I have an ego badge, it just, life happens to me and like washes it clean. Have a super day, you guys. I love you guys so much. Yeah, just sleep well, dream well. Lots of love to all y'all lovers of the night. 9 to the woke out of 9. I love you guys. Oh, and 2020 vision is here to stay, right? I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams, my lover. I will, you guys. Have a great night and a great day. Love you loads. Peace out. Yeah, we'll all come back for sure. Peace out.